Now, what I'm going to do in the next part of the show up until 9 o'clock is a lot of people were asking how to organize your Sky libraries. And I want to thank Angela because this was one of her topics. And by the way, I showed it earlier, Angela, and Thomas and the whole gang made the comment. I said, what was your favorite coffee break episode? And they said, organizing your skies. And I just put my head down and I go, you mean the one that Angela taught? And all of them were like, oh yeah, that's right. So I'm going to share that with you guys.
That's hilarious.
Hilarious for you.
So, I love them. I really love them. They're the best.
and if you have time, Angela, if you could just pop in there the link to our coffee break on Insiders, and then our coffee break on YouTube.
I can do that.
All right. So this is what we'll do is let me get to the catalog, and I'm going to come over here to Skies. Oh, here we go. Angela Skies. And let me just get rid of one of them. Boom, that one right here. So right click, move to trash. Good. All right, so here we are. Now Angela took these shots. This one right here, and I'm going to right click, adjustment, and revert it back to the original. So that was her iPhone shot. This was her shot from a professional Canon camera. We'll use this one here. So when you're photographing your skies, I can't stress this enough. Let me see if I have it already up for you. And of course I don't have it up. So let me pull it up for you real quick. Take a PDF of this right here. So I'm going to type in sky replacement and download the PDF and put this on your phone, because if you want to go out and shoot skies to add to your own collection, you'll need this guideline, and this will help you to when you're out there and you're I don't want to say confused, but you start to have questions on what lens should I use? What do they recommend, or what's the best practice? Review it right here, and it shows you what the best practice is, and then get out there and start shooting. But what's neat is you'll have this with you the entire time. All right? So now here we are with Angela Skies. First thing we need to do is create an horizon. So I'm going to come over here to the very top, and we're going to need to crop this, but I'm going to use freeform. Now, I know, Angela, you were mentioning to crop it somewhere around here, and then you could edit that out. Honestly, I'm going to go right about to here, so there's no there's no clone stamp stuff for me to work on. All right.
The only reason I did it a little lower is there was some color and texture down a little lower that I wanted to include, but this certainly makes it easier.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it better, like she just said, easier. Now, on the East Coast of Florida, sunrises are absolutely gorgeous. We have the ocean right there. There's nothing stopping me, from taking beautiful shots of there. It's the sunsets that we have a hard time with because of the angle and where the sun is going down. So if you can't get that beautiful horizon line here, so no matter what, if these are yours, it's very important to edit those. And she doesn't have any dust bunnies on here, but if she had imperfections in the sky, now is the time to fix it. So let's do this. I'm going to jump over and I'm going to zoom into 200%. Because she shot this with an iPhone or a smartphone, look at all the noise that's in the photo. So we want to clean that up before we save it. So let's go to denoise, and let's generously apply the noise to it. Look at that. Awesome. Now I would use color if I saw color artifacts, but I don't. So that's fine. And then I think for this, let me get back to here. I would use Accent AI because that's going to automatically improve color, detail, tone, and depth. Now, sky enhancement, you don't want to go overboard. So just a little bit's fine. And last, I want to bring back a little bit more detail, but maybe make the small detail a little less sharp. All right, so now we have the cloud saved, but here's the thing. We're seeing what the change looks like because we're inside Luminar. If I right click on this image and say show in Explorer, well, now if I look at the image here in Explorer, notice there's, I can put over this screen, here we go. Notice there's no change to it. And again, that's because Luminar is a non-destructive editing program to where all your changes are made to the database, and when you're ready to export this image, all the changes are applied to the image, and now it's burnt in. So what we're going to do is export, and I'm going to save it to my disk, but I'm going to give it a unique name, underscore, let's call this finished, or completed, whatever you want. Now, here's what's really cool. I'm going to bring it back into Angela's. So here's my assets. So here's what I recommend. If here's my photography photo or folder, so all of these, let's say, are my images, I like to put an underscore assets folder inside of this. And the reason for that is all the subfolders, I can put skies, LUTs, signatures, templates, temperature, or textures, all in one spot. So now if I need to go back to find any of those tools, they're right there for me, waiting for me. All right? So back to assets, Angela Skies, and I'm going to go to completed. Select the folder, and I'm going to leave it at full res. Export. Now, once I export it, the cool thing about what we just did is because I saved it back to a root folder, a subfolder of a folder that's already in Luminar, the root folder, it's going to automatically be in there for me. I don't have to hunt for it. I don't have to look for it. So when I come back over to my catalog and I come down to complete, there it is. So if I came back to here, let's see which one. Oh, that's finished. And here's the name down here. Right click, adjustments, revert to original. So here's the original. There's the finished one, which is a new JPEG. And then there's the professional one. All right, so now that I have that set, let's see how cool it is. Let me reset this. Give it a second. And actually, there we go. Let me go to edit. And I'm going to bring this all the way down. Let's go to the original image. All right, so here's the original image. What we're going to do is we're going to take that California sky and put it into a New York scene. So let's come down to creative. Here's the sky. Now, the cool thing about this, the new version of the sky 2.0, you're able to click here, and now we're able to look at all your skies that are in Luminar. All right, so I have these guys here, and if I want, which I do, I can come to the bottom and I can apply a single cloud or a single one to this, and I'm going to do this. I believe I called it finished. There we are. Now, Angela's sky is part of my default skies. Look at that. So that California sky is now part of our New York sky. Now, if I'm going to come over here again, I could download more, which means it'll take me right to the Luminar Marketplace, or this, yeah, the Luminar Marketplace. And here I am with skies. I can download new skies here. Some are free, some are paid. If you're part and it'll tell you this works with Luminar 4 and Luminar AI. We'll come down. Oh, look at this. If you're part of the Luminar X membership, they're going to tell you that those guys were included in your memberships, so you don't need to purchase them. If I come over to my account, Luminar membership, and once my membership pops up, let me do this. My software. There we go. Luminar X membership. There we are. So here's my Luminar membership. Angela, do you remember they were fixing it for us?
Yeah, I thought you said you had that taken care of.
Well, we're still able to. I'm still able to download everything. So anyway, so here I am at my Luminar membership. I can come through here, and I can download any of the what's new, any of the clouds that I've had, or any of the videos and stuff, because it's part of that membership. So I think that's really, really cool. So I can check it to see if I already have it. All right. So that's one place we can get new clouds or new skies. You can check the internet all over the place for free ones. Make sure they're royal free. Where it says royal free, just make sure you mention my name or something. And that's just a trade-off. Or you can purchase them. All right. So once you do that, where do you store them? And a lot of people have a misunderstanding that when you have all these clouds that you need to quote install them in the Luminar, you just need to put them on your computer somewhere that you won't forget. And that's why I recommended to put those in that underscore assets folder. So when I want to add more skies, here's my show custom skies. So right now, I have all the skies that came with Luminar already installed. Now I have these 13 skies in here too. Now, if this was a duplicate, so I could delete it. Now, these again are copies. So these are copies for what were the clouds of the skies that I have. What I can do now is I can load up to 50 of them in here. But just like the old days when Windows came out with new fonts, I loaded 1,000 fonts and couldn't understand why my system was running so slow. If you put more than 50 in here, it's just taking up more resources. So it's best to put your favorites in this area here. Just drag and drop your favorites into the section and then change them out. Like I know I haven't been using the Galaxy ones in a while. So I can come in here and just delete those. Haven't used this one in a while. And then just drag new ones in. And once I do, they'll appear over here, either in all skies or my custom ones. And I have them all set. All right. So that's how you go out, shoot your favorite skies, come back and organize them. But make sure that after you photograph them, do some quick editing to it to make them look phenomenal, the best they can. And once you do that, then go back and apply it either to these catalogs here, or like I said, I would come over here. Here's Angela Skies. I'll right click, show an Explorer. And here I have it under my assets, right there. Just put them in here. So here's a bunch of my skies I have. And when I want them, just drag and drop them, or just use that plus tool that I showed you, or just use that plus icon just to add one additional sky to your pack. All right. So let me stop sharing my screen. And Angela, I'll do one of your catchphrases. So how did you like that?
Well, I think you did a very good job with that sky. It's really nice to be able to have that little tiny camera in my pocket all the time. And there's so many beautiful skies that we come across. And to build your own sky library, you need to be out there taking pictures. And while we might not always have our big cameras with us, almost every single one of us has a reasonably capable smartphone that we can put to use for that. And it's not going to work for every image. So if you have, a 45 megapixel camera that you're trying to insert that picture, that sky from your phone into, you're probably not going to get that great of a result. But for most of us, you're going to be able to take those iPhone images that you create, clean them up a little bit with the denoise, take away some of those artifacts, and be able to build your sky library with images that are 100% yours. And if you're part of a camera club or other organization where you're entering competitions, using your own elements in those images is very, very important. I know the camera club that I run, it's in our bylaws, you have to use your own elements when you do a composite. Composites are allowed. You have to just use your own stuff. So building your own sky library is very important if you participate in things like that. So I encourage you to take images of the sky. Whenever you see a beautiful sky around you, whip out your cell phone, take that picture, and make sure you can use it for the future.
Awesome. It's funny, a buddy of mine the other day, somebody were talking about my camera, and they go, yeah, well, Vanelli's camera's good, but my camera, I can actually make phone calls. I can actually use as a phone, make phone calls. People are like, really? Wow, what camera is it? He goes, it's my cell phone, and it went right over their head. They were trying to think, like, how are you gonna take this DSLR and put it up to your ear? But it was neat. It was neat just the way they talked about that. Now, keep in mind, so keep in mind, if that worked for skies, same thing with LUTs, same thing with textures, same thing with your signatures. So you would use that underscore assets just as a holding spot. So when you want to add augmented skies to an image, when you want to add your signature as a texture, you'll know exactly where they are, and that just keeps everything nice and neat. So let's see, any other questions?
I think we've got it here.
Yeah, Eduardo asked, can you post a link to the document that you showed on how to take your own skies?
Yeah, I've posted it a couple of times, but I will gladly post that in there one more time.
And keep in mind, what's really cool. I love the engineers for this. The engineers actually included that inside Luminar. They added it to the menu choice where you click on user manual, boom, you go over to it, and you type in a word, sky, and it'll find all that. If, let's say, you wanted to use Luminar AI as a plugin for Photoshop, just type in Photoshop, and any document that uses the word Photoshop or pertains to Photoshop will appear.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Having that accessible there, you don't have to remember the URL. It's an easy URL, manual.skylum.com. But if you don't feel like remembering that or having yet another bookmark in your browser, all you have to do is go to that help menu inside Luminar AI, select user guide, and bam, it'll bring it right up. So easy. And make sure you make use of it. There's a ton of great information there. If you're ever wondering what a particular slider does, go in there. We've got great descriptions that Vanelli has written up on each of these things. And we've put a ton of time and effort into making sure it's a really great resource. So make sure you check it out.
So our good buddy Nick is here also, part of our insiders gang. So, but it's neat. He says that he probably thinks the time moved ahead an hour. So, and by the way, I did shut Alexa off. I put her on absolutely low, because it kept announcing when we're doing insiders. Okay, so Terry says, good. Before you end today, would you please put up the LUTs and textures and such that we can download? So I think I have that. Let me see.
Cool. Yeah, I should have copied and pasted it earlier, but every time I've logged out and then logged back in, here it is. I found it. You got it?
Yep, I think I put it up.
All right.
Yep, sepia tones.
Excellent.
Paper kit. Yeah, Rich was, oh my God, Rich just, and here he got his daughter involved into it too, where she sat there ripping up and you know she must be loving it, um, tearing up the pages, making the textures for it.
That's so fun. That's awesome.
Good.
And make sure you download all of those things. There's so much cool stuff there. The textures that I used in my presentation today are part of that. Which ones are the paper kit? Lots of fun stuff in there. But all of these different collections, I mean, this is a great way to build up your file of assets. And I know Vanelli mentioned, and a few other people have mentioned it throughout the day, as you develop a collection of these different assets, designate a folder on your computer where you're going to keep all of them. It's going to make them much easier to find. I have one folder where inside I've got a subfolder for LUTs, a subfolder for skies, a subfolder for borders and textures. And that way, whenever I'm wanting to add one of those elements, I can go easily find it and pop it into my picture.
Hey V, Doug here.
I'm about to announce it. So this is our producer, Doug. Hello, Doug.
I just want to let everybody know that we'll go through the chat and we'll pull out all the links that have been shared today, and we'll put them together into a list that we'll put up on Insiders. So if you missed them here, just check up on Insiders, and we'll put a post up there with essentially show notes from today, and you'll have all those assets in a nice, easy to find format.
Perfect. Thanks, awesome. Doug.
Thank you. And Doug, they were asking. Obviously, this has been recorded, and in their smart wisdom, they broke it up into sections. So, God forbid, 14 hours. If something were to go wrong on the 14th hour, you could have lost everything. But they broke them up. Will these be available? These will be available on YouTube.
So traditionally, we don't leave the YouTube playback up, but I'm going to double check with Rich because I think he said earlier today that we'll go ahead and leave the YouTube playback up because it is such a long day while we get the edits out. So once we wrap, you can go back. You have to scroll through 14 hours of stuff to find it, which is one of the reasons we don't leave it up there. But you'll be able to go back and kind of go through the 14 hours and find what you need. But then over the next, we'll say 24 to 72 hours, because we do have 14 hours of content to dice up, we'll start to put that stuff up in individual segments. So usually when we do one of these, it's 90 minutes. It's not 14 hours. So it's a little longer to get everything kind of diced up and into nice bite-sized chunks. But it will be coming in again. We'll do a post on we'll do a post for sure on Insiders and probably on the blog that links out to a playlist where you can find everything.
Thank you so much, Doug. Just to follow up with a few last questions. Mike, say you go through a template that you don't want to edit, or then you want to edit on your own. How do you get rid of the template off? In other words, yes, you can start from scratch. Just right-click on the image, and then from there, adjustments, reset, or go to history and go right to the bottom.
Yep.
All right. Sean is new here. What is Insiders? How do we say this? What is it? So think of when you first joined Facebook. You were all excited because people were positive, happy, and excited. Multiply that. Now imagine you're with an entire group of like-minded people and individuals. And what's really cool about it is the networking, where you meet new friends from all over the world. If you have a question about, hey, I'm buying a new camera, which one should I buy? You pop that in there, you'll get so many feedback, so many people helping you in a positive way. And everyone checks your ego at the door, and they come in, and the goal is to help and help each other. So, Sean, again, it's insiders.skylum.com.
Yep.
So, and then the last, no such thing as a dumb question. I've downloaded all the links Angela just reposted. Thanks. But how do I save them to Luminar? Do I first open it and then save them? You want to tackle that one?
Well, let me scroll back up here. We've got a bunch of zip files. So if you're on Mac, it's most likely been expanded already. So when I downloaded those zip files were already unzipped and the folders were accessible in my downloads folder. If you're on Windows, you're going to have to right click on the zip files and it's extract, right?
Yes.
Yep. And then you'll be able to access those files inside. With the textures, the frames, things like that, those are going to be JPEGs and PNG files, which you'll load in one by one as you want to use them. With the LUT files, those are actually going to be typically .cube files, or is it a 3DL? And you'll load those up in the Mood tool one by one.
Perfect. All right, John. And that's something I think we're going to spend a little more time on. Not now, of course, because we're at the 1 minute marker. We're about to end, but that's something where I think I'm going to put in the user manual just so people have a clear understanding of what you install and what you don't install. You know, how do you get LUTs to work and things along those lines. Well, here we are at 9 o'clock, 14 hours straight. We've had, oh my God, how many, God knows how many guests and how many different computers. So, and I'm excited when people say, oh my God, my Luminar is crashing. Well, there has to be a reason for it. 14 hours, all of us have gone through it, and we haven't had a crash because once you get your Luminar catalog set and it knows right where it's at, boom, it's going to chug along. But there may be that time where some were mentioning that it crashed on them, and that's because you did the update. Usually it's Windows. Why Mac doesn't do that, crash on us, but for Windows, it happens because for some reason Windows didn't replace that old Luminar, and it's both accessing the same catalog, and it could corrupt it. So rename the catalog. That 99, well, the majority of the time, it solved that problem. So, well, guys, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Angela, thanks for sticking around. Doug,
you're welcome.
There was a lot.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who made this happen. Like serious, production. Lot went into this. Virtual high five to everybody.
Exactly. So thank you guys, and again for Doug and the team behind the scenes that takes care of all the nuts and bolts and all the stuff running through. My assistant, believe it or not, was here earlier today and actually made sure I had, I know, sandwiches made, snacks made, and my water all the way through. So, but there's a lot of people that just went out of the way to make sure this happened, and we're so glad you guys were able to join us.